I think the expert review of the ICC is a positive development. It needs to be welcomed because, at the very least, it shows that there's a recognition that there are some issues that ought to be addressed at the institutional level. And after 2 decades of operation, it is no longer tenable to just use the excuse of the ICC being a newer institution than these may be some teething issues. So that excuse no longer works. There's definitely a sense that something is amiss in how the ICC has operated over the past 2 decades, and there's a recognition that this must be addressed. So this is a welcoming development that the ASB has put together this panel of experts, and they have done due diligence, and they have issued a report. Um, One of the issues, though, that this report has not addressed, to my satisfaction at least, is that it focuses a lot on the ICC and its institutional culture. This is an attempt to look at what hasn't worked in The Hague and how to fix it. It looks at issues such as management of personnel, selection of cases. It looks at specific offices within the ICC. So the institutional culture, which is all good and serious issues that must be addressed. However, what I think is also missing is the broader questions, the role and place of the ICC in the international system. It seems to me that 2 decades later, there is still no this attempt to rethink what the ICC can be rather than what the ICC would be in a world where international justice would be the main concern for all parties involved, including states, which I'm not necessarily sure that is the case. So these broader questions are still unaddressed. For instance, the lofty goals that emerged out of the Rome Conference, this optimism that we are entering a new world wherein justice would be delivered to victims. I think there's a need to go back to the drawing table and ask ourselves, what can the ICC achieve? What kind of justice the ICC can deliver? Which also means what kind of justice the ICC is not able to deliver, and be upfront and be honest about the limitations that the ICC has. So there is a need, I think, to step back from this reification of the ICC, this idea of the ICC as the solution, the ICC as an institution that can and will end impunity. I don't think that's going to happen. So be upfront about it, be honest about it, and let victims know that we could be, as ICC, a solution, but oftentimes we will let you down. And because the ICC operates in an international system made primarily of states who have interests and who will go after those interests, and this is something that I tried to highlight in my book, that the ICC operates in a political world made of states which will go after their own security and political interests, and they would use the court if they have to, and that's been the case. Otherwise, how could we explain that the ICC has been unable so far to investigate and prosecute agents of the state? So it's much easier for the ICC to go after rebels or enemies of the state, quote unquote, rather than successfully prosecuting state officials. I'm not even talking about heads of state, just state officials. So that's been one of the main challenges. Why? Because again, the ICC operates in the political world. The ICC is an IO, it's an international organization, although people at the ICC tend to think of themselves as, of the ICC as something special. It is a court, therefore not a political organization or not an international organization. And I disagree. The sooner the ICC would see itself as an international organization, the better effective it would be at fulfilling its mission, because that would lead to a recognition that the justice that the ICC can deliver will always be selective, it will always be partial, and it always will be political. And the sooner we all come to that realization and accept it, the better it would be for the ICC as an institution, but also for the victims who would know that the ICC could be a solution for redress and for accountability, but there may be other possibilities to pursue.